areas in their walk, in their business, to open up business and to do different things. And I've been traveling out to Toronto, all the way to sometimes Oakville, Burlington, just to talk to those people and encourage them, to give them some ideas on what business is all about. And instead of going all over the place, my wife says, you're going to you're going to kill yourself driving all over the place, doing this. Just bring them all together and teach them, show them what to do. And I said, okay, that's good. We'll do that because this is amazing. When I started out my business 20 years ago, I'm going to take a couple of minutes just to share. I started off my business as, I worked for Help Fast for 2 years. And then the Lord woke me up in a dream and told me this business would be yours. Saturday morning, 4 a.m., Sunday morning, 4 a.m., Monday I came into work. My boss, 25 years old, he says, I'm shutting it down. I offered to buy it. I have no money. God order it. He'll pay for it. He pay for the stuff. And the first day we took over our business, we told the Lord that you're the CFO, CEO, president, VP. You're everything. I'm just the manager. I'm managing what you give me. And ever since then, I've been managing it well. I've been doing what God wants me to do. I don't cut corners. I don't do things that's illegal because I have to answer to God and not to man. And I've been doing my business honestly for years. And God has been blessing the business that we do. But the key to our success, and I tell this to people all over the world, the key to our success was that when we took over the business, before we took over Help Fast, we went and we take 10 kids through World Vision. And as the business grew every year, we take 10 more, 10 more. Today we sponsor 100 kids around the world through World Vision. Because the Bible says in Proverbs, when you give to the poor, you lend to God. And you cannot give God. And the Bible says, the borrower is a slave to the lender. And God is not going to be no slave to us. Right? He's going to give us back good measure, pressed down, shaken together, running over. And the more you give is the more you receive from God. And so I want to, share this same concept with you today. Because we have businesses, and a lot of time business fail because we don't do it properly. We fail because we spend too much here. We make bad decisions. We seek things from people, but we don't seek God's vision. We don't seek what God wants for us. And we end up failing. And so many people I knew when I was doing ministry in the shelter, and Joseph was there working in the shelter. When I do ministry in the shelter, there's a lot of people in the shelter that went into business with their partners, and the partner just took everything and go. There was a lady that I met, and she got this house in Mississauga Road, and, she was good at selling, but when it comes to money, she was not good at money. The partner was. And so if he's good at money, you know what he's going to be doing. So he took everything. And she ended up in the shelter with nothing. So I never like to encourage people in partnerships. We almost had a partner in our business. We didn't have the money when God gave us the business. And this friend of mine, he was the best man at my marriage. They had money. And I said, man, perfect. But one Friday afternoon, we were signing the paper in the bank. And she started yelling at the bank manager for no reason. And the Lord spoke to my wife right there. He says, is that the person you want to get into business with? I'll be your partner. And God showed me how to partner with him to open up the business. A lot of times, we open up our business, and I know a lot of people, when we get HST, we don't know how, we think it's ours. And we go out and we spend it. But when it comes to pay, we don't have. And then the government comes in, same as our WSIB and all that stuff. So today, we have some good speakers. We got Grace. She's Open Door Ministry. New Door Ministry. And she's out in Newmarket City Council in Newmarket. She's going to be here today to talk to us. She's coming up after I finish with you. And then we have Amanda. Amanda is going to tell you how to market your business, marketing and branding. Marketing and branding, how to brand your business and market your business. We have a lawyer here. He's going to tell you how to incorporate your business, something I didn't know until you mentioned to us. But I'll let you talk about that. Opening up your own business online is a no-no. Risky. I didn't know that. I tell people, go open it online, it's cheaper. But, he has some good points there. So he's going to talk about opening up your business We have Sebastian, insurance, very important. You got to have insurance for your business. If you don't, they're coming after your house. And we have the man that just walked in from IPS. We have Victor from IPS. And Victor is going to show a video and talk a bit about what they do. You know, if I knew about IPS when I started my business, I would never, it would have been great. But I mortgaged my house, I mortgaged my mother-in-law's house, I mortgaged their cottage, and my father-in-law is a big, tall, white Jamaican guy, and he said, Derek, if this doesn't work, we're all going to live in a box under a street. This better work. And I said, man, it has to work because, I'm going to be living in the street with you in a box. But, we honor God, and God honor us. And in 6 months, God provided all the money for us to pay back for our homes and everything else. And today, we have our office here. This is our main office in Calgary, next year BC, Montreal, Ottawa, and who knows? Come on in. Who knows where God has in store, what God has in store for us. So thank you guys for coming out here today. It's going to be a time of question and answering. Feel free to ask questions. We want you to succeed. But this is not the first where you can, we finish with you and we send you out. These guys are all here. They're all born-again believers. They're here to help you. I'm here to help you. I don't know, Brian, he's busy. But if you need any advice, I'm always here to help people because that's what I'm called to do. I'm a D type, right? I found out I'm a type D today. I'm a builder, But what we're building, it's not from the bottom up. We're building from the top down. And the reason I say from the top down, because the Bible says, thine will be done on earth as it is in heaven. And whatever God's will in heaven for you, we have to bring that down, pray it down, just like Jesus did. I don't want to talk too much. I'm going to introduce Grace. She's going to come in. Let's give her a warm welcome as she comes in to share.
Amazing. Well, how can I follow you, Pastor Derek? Come on. I love it when God puts a plan together. Oh, I'm going to try not to preach because I am a preacher's kid, but right now I'm a businesswoman, so we're just going to step aside from the preacher and step into the business side of who I am. My name is Grace Simon, and I'm a mentor, trainer, and speaker, realtor, and city councilor. I like to wear many different hats, but I get it all into it because of people, and I'm called to be a people person, to come alongside people wherever they're at in life, wake up the dead things to come alive so that they can walk into their full promise of who God has predestined them to be. And so this is an amazing workshop. And so I just want to invite all of you to step into the place of a growth mindset, in the understanding that we can learn from absolutely everyone. Can we agree on that? Yeah, that no matter who you are, where you've come from, and where you are right now, we can learn from one another. And so if you're looking through this book and you're saying, I don't identify myself with any of these workplaces or what they're doing, I want you to put that aside and say, I am going to learn today. With every speaker and everything that is offered, I'm here to learn. And the message that I want to talk about this morning, you can bring up my slides, Mr. Joe, is the topic of purpose, vision, and goals. This is a big topic, and it's usually a half-day program that I do, and I'm going to try to fit it into 20 minutes, but I will because I'm just going to lightly touch on some things for you to open up your mindset this morning, to be a growth mindset. And I want you to write this down. I am learning from everyone. If you don't have a pen and you're not writing it down, it means that you know everything. And why are you here? Let's pick up our pen and write it down. I can learn from everyone this morning. I have something to learn. So me, I am a mother, a daughter, a friend, and a child of God. I was married at 19 years old, finished high school, left the town of Newmarket where I now live at 18 to be with my teenage boyfriend. Got married at 19, had my first daughter, who's here, at 19. I had 3 kids by 26 years old with a high school education. I said, my kids, my family are the most important thing to me. So I said, I'm not going to go to work until my last child is in school, Mr. Seth. I'm so proud. My kids are here this morning. So at 31 years old, I was like, oh, what am I going to do with my life? I don't have any education. I don't have any experience. What am I going to do? So I looked around me, my mom a branch manager, my father a pastor, my husband was a general manager at a car dealership, and it just made sense to fill the gap of being a real estate agent. And it did make a lot of sense. So I got my license, had to try several times with a high school education and 3 little children, and very little experience outside my house. I had to try over and over again just to pass my test. I tell you this because I had to start from a place of limited belief. The limitations, right? The limitations of failure, of wish I did things differently, if I could have, I did have, whatever, all of this. And I'm going to guess that your story may be similar to mine. That when we step into something new, that we bring the past of limitation, of failure, of lack into something new. And how can we grow from that place of limitation? How can we grow into a place of abundance and creating what we want to have, be, and do with our life with this limitation? And so I'm going to talk about goals. And quite frankly, I avoided goals. I mean, I'm sure you learned like I did in school. You go to a classroom, you hear a teacher speak, she talks on a subject, and then what? They tell you to go home and study, and we're going to have a test on Friday and see how you do. And how do most of you do? Well, some of you are high achievers, and you did very well. But for the majority of us, we were happy to get an average mark, right? Or to pass. And this becomes our learning strategy of life. We learn something, and then we get tested on it. Pass or fail. And so for me, I was average. I was average at everything I did, and that became my learning strategy. I was happy with 65, 68% in school, and I got really comfortable with that. However, there was something more inside of me that I knew that I was capable of achieving. But nobody taught me in school how to be a higher achiever, how to go for the more. I didn't know how to because my learning model, my learning strategy was pass or fail. And so fast forward going into real estate and starting my business, I knew how to achieve. I knew how to achieve to just above average, right? And I always had this thing of I wanted to be more. So I would do, because that's what I know. I'm an activator, I'm a doer. But I'd only go so far to what I knew how to do to avoid failure. And so I don't know why you're here today, but I have to believe that you're here because there's something more inside of you that you know that you are meant to do, but you just don't know how to do it. And so something that is going to be dropped into your awareness today by one of these amazing speakers and sharing their story is going to give you a nugget of how to do. But I want to talk about purpose first, because purpose is the first place that we need to start instead of our goals. And we can just go to the next slide. We live from 3 different planes of existence. We have an intellectual mind. We live from a physical body, and we're spiritual beings. And these 3 forms of existence have to be in line with one another. However, with our learning model that we have, our strategy of learning, of pass or fail, we're always looking from the outward appearance, right? The physical awareness that we know, that we've experienced, the outcome. And we attach ourselves to that physical awareness of our outcome. Well, I want to tell you that you're not your results. You're not your outcome. So if you're in real estate, whether you do 5 transactions a month, you do 5 transactions a year, or you do 5 transactions in 5 years. I want to say, no matter what you do, no matter what you have, no matter what you have achieved, there is more for you to do. There's more for you to achieve, and not to put any kind of limitation. We have to understand that as our spiritual being, that we are co-creating with God, and we're always creating. And it starts with this idea of why you're here today, of this business that you want to build, what you want to do with your life. It started from God. He dropped that into your awareness. You accepted it. Now I have this idea. What am I going to do? And we immediately go to the outward experience of our outcome. But I want to say it starts with your purpose. Mark Twain said, there are 2 greatest days of a person's life: the day that they were born and the day they found out why. Why? The why is not outside of us. The why is within us. The why is within us. And so everything that you have done up to this very point has brought you along to this point. All of the failures, all of the letdowns, all of the victories have brought you up to here. And I want to say that failing is not failing. Failing is growth, right? You have gotten to this point. You've gotten to this place of your life because of those experiences. And they have brought you to where you are right now, being willing and being able to accept other people's point of views, other people's ideas, and the ability to step into, be, do, and have everything that God has created you to do. So it starts with this purpose, and people get really, really hung up on that. When in my half-day workshop that I do with purpose, vision, and goals, we dig a little deeper into that. And your purpose is like the sun. Everything revolves around that purpose. So it's really important to get an idea of that. And Amanda, when she comes up after me, she's going to talk about that, because what she does is she solidifies that purpose. She solidifies, why are you doing what you're doing? Who are you doing it for? And why does that matter? That is your purpose. And everybody, doing your business. It's good to make a lot of money. It's good to have that outcome, but you are not your outcome. It has to start with why. Why am I doing this? Because no matter how high achieved, how awesome of a realtor I am, if it's not attached to my purpose, it doesn't mean anything. And so I remember when I was doing the branding with Amanda, I don't know how many years ago, New Doors was like 7 years ago or something, and we had to go through this painstaking process of what sets you apart, what makes you different, Grace. And she asked me all these questions, and because I 7 years ago was in this limited awareness of what my purpose was, I had no clue, and it was really, really painful. But going through that awareness and allowing myself to see that what I do and what people mattering to me, my passions, my care, my service, and my love for Jesus, but my love for people really did set me apart. And so we came up with the name, The New Doors, and creating New Doors opportunities and New Doors experiences and New Doors concierge service. And I open up new doors in my life for so many things. That's why I wear so many hats. So it goes along with who I am and why I am and what it is that I'm doing. But when things are cloudy, when things are not going right, it brings me back to why I'm doing what I'm doing. And so we create this vision statement. And so again, when you do my workshop, afternoon workshop, we create a vision statement. And that vision statement is your live document that you look at. And it's like the fullness of why. So when you think about your business and what you want to create, and you think about your purpose, you're going to create with no limitations, no barriers, no nothing. What does that look like when it's completed? Derek mentioned about how he adopted 100 orphans across the world. I get so many people saying, I want to have an orphanage. I want my business to have an orphanage. This is what I do. I always say, start with one. How many children are you sponsoring? You want to have an orphanage? How about you start with one, right? And then build. And I use Derek's example with him adopting 100 orphans because he's living out his purpose and he has this vision and he's creating this vision as he goes along, that every year they adopt 2 2 more children or 1 more child. I don't know how many it is. But he's living this vision. He's created in his heart and in his mind around his purpose of what it is that he's building. So when things aren't clear, right, and things are going about that doesn't seem like, they're quite right, he makes decisions based upon his purpose and based upon his vision of what it is that he's creating. Why does it matter? And then with that live statement, that live vision, then we create these goals. This is a process of creation and manifestation, starting with the idea, allowing it to grab within our heart and with our spiritual sense, allowing it to resonate with our body so that we can create it on the outward existence, not in the opposite. But many of us go into new plans, new ideas, new experiences, looking at the outcome, and then we fail because we're not getting the outcome. So in our workshop, and it's a half-day workshop, so I invite you, if you're interested in learning more about creating this vision statement, this purpose for your life, I want you to email me at grace.newdoors@gmail.com. My QR code is in the booklet, but I'd love for you to send me an email so that I can invite you free for attending today into one of my workshops. And it will really solidify the why you're doing what you're doing, who you're doing it for, and why does that matter. And we're going to create a vision statement together for you, for your life, so that when the hard times come, and they do, right? The entrepreneurship, do they come? Every other day they come. It's like bipolarness. Woo, this is amazing. This sucks. This is amazing. This sucks. This is amazing. I want to die. This is amazing. Help! It's like that. That's what it is. But when we have this vision statement, we know our purpose, and we have this vision statement for our life, and we're walking it with goals that are actually just stepping stones to allow us to look into the process of life, that helps us to want to set more goals. It helps us, encourages us to want to do the more. And I want to do that with you. That's what we're doing here today, is that we're coming alongside each other. Derek has mentioned it a couple of times, and in my mentorship group, I have a community of people where we're supporting and encouraging. But on a broader scale, with all of us coming and teaching and equipping, we're creating a mentorship center, a live mentorship center, that for those of you that are interested in business and walking with godly kingdom people, we're going to, continue to do these workshops. We're going to continue to invite you into our community so that we all succeed together. That is the kingdom, right? That is the purpose of our life. That is the goal, that we would build kingdom, that we would increase, and we would live out our fulfilled purpose. And so with that, I would love to invite my amazing friend and sister. We've been walking a long time in this vision of our lives and our business and what God is creating, and it's actually pretty amazing, Amanda and I, walking this out together and where God is leading us. And our lives have become parallel. It's so important to walk in accountability with somebody. And so me as a professional coach and mentor, I love to come along my clients and hold their belief and hold their image together. And Amanda and I have been doing that together for, over a decade. And our lives have become so parallel that without even trying, we now live on the same street of each other. We live in the same floor plan. And half of our house has become our studio, Amanda's studio, and my mentorship center at the exact same time. It is absolutely epic. It's supernatural. But that's what happens when you come alongside kingdom people, when you allow yourself to step into a growth mindset, being open with each other, sharpening one another, and building each other up. There really is no limits to what God can do in and through you and your business to make a difference for others. So thank you for your time.
Oh my gosh, you're epic. You are epic. How am I going to follow this woman? Can you put up the presentation, please? Thanks. Hey guys, so my name is Amanda. You see me in the booklet, so I'm not going to go through my profile. I'm an entrepreneur, just like you guys. I run a branding agency, and we just launched a clothing brand. And so that high and low, that bipolarness, although I don't want to say that in the air, that feeling of up and down, honestly, she said it was daily. I'm talking hours. Any given hour. And I'm a creative person. So like, my stuff is so great, everyone's gonna love it. My stuff is really crap. Who's gonna buy this? It's a constant thing. And so I live that every day. So I live that entrepreneurial journey every day. But what I really love, and Grace talked about purpose, my personal purpose is to bring people's purpose to life through business. I love business. I love everything about business. I love everything that makes business grow, and especially the revenue side of the house. That's why I'm in branding and marketing. And that's what I want to talk to you guys about today. It's how do you sell what you sell? Why do you sell what you sell? Who does it matter to? And how are they going to buy? And I'm going to share with you I'm going to call them 3 secrets. Not really secrets. You probably already do a lot of this stuff. I'm going to share with you some secrets that I've learned from over 20 years of working in the corporate world with large and multinational companies as well as small and medium-sized enterprises. So I'm going to share some of those secrets with you. And the whole thing is about how do you be unignorable, okay? So let's go to the next slide. 95,000. 95,000 businesses start up in Canada every year. 95,000. That's over 200 businesses a day. Somebody can do the math and tell me what it is in an hour. That's how many new businesses start and open their doors in Canada. Globally, it's even bigger than that, okay? That's something that you need to keep in mind when you're thinking about whether you're starting up, whether you're an entrepreneur, or whether you're a large, even if you're the size of HelpFast. There's a lot of choice out there in our world. We live in a landscape, particularly in North America, but because of global trade, we're dealing with massive numbers here. Let's go to the next slide. 80%. There was research that was conducted by Havas Media that said that because of that first number, most people would not worry or not care if 80% of businesses and brands disappeared from the face of the earth. I'm going to repeat that. 80% of businesses and brands could disappear from the face of the earth and nobody would care. So when you think about your business, whether you're just starting, whether you're a not-for-profit, whether you're a real estate agent, whether you are, a tech inventor, think about it. Think about what's happening in the landscape and why you need to matter. Let's go to the next slide. So the question is how? How do we differentiate? The fundamental basis of any business plan, you've got a number of sections, and if you go to the back page of your booklet, you're going to see a bit of an outline. And it's a very high-level outline of what a business plan looks like. So anybody who's starting up, whether you're a solopreneur, whether you're starting and you've got like a staff of 5 or you've got 20 or 100 people, everybody should have some thinking around, what is my plan? Grace talked about vision, mission, and goals. Purpose, vision, goals. In order to do those things, you need to have a plan, right? You need to know the steps of what those plans are. You need a plan to know how to differentiate because you've got 95,000 happening every day. So the question becomes, how do I differentiate? How do I break through? How do I make sure that whatever I'm putting out there is not just adding to the stuff that's already there? If 95,000 businesses are starting a day, I guarantee you maybe triple that in terms of the number of messages, and we'll talk about that in a second. So that's what you're breaking through from, okay? So we're going to talk about what I'm going to call 3 secrets. The first one is strategy, but not just any strategy. The first one is strategy, and I'm going to call that brand strategy. You need brand strategy before you can do marketing, and I'll explain why. The second one is focus and start with your who. I know that Simon Sinek says start with why, but I'm going to shake your world up a little bit, and I'm going to say it's actually not why, it's who, especially when it comes to business. And the third thing that I'm going to talk to you about is storytelling. And everybody knows that storytelling is important. We say it all the time. There's psychological reasons why it's important, but I'm not going to get into that. It'll be a different workshop. I'm going to talk today about tell your story, just tell it in a different order, okay? Those are the 3 things I'm going to cover. So let's go to the next slide. The first one is strategy. Okay. One of my goals, and Grace knows this, is I want a house in Tuscany. I want a house in Tuscany. I really, really do, and I love it. It wasn't just because of under a Tuscan sun, but secretly that's kind of what it was. I want a house in Tuscany. How many of you guys know that there are 100 million ways to get to Tuscany? 100 million ways to achieve that goal. The question is, what way is authentic and real for you? That's the real question that needs to be answered. Because you can get there by car. You can get there by borrowing from Brian because he's really wealthy, just putting it out there. You can get there a lot of different ways. but how do you really? What's the way that's meaningful to you? That's what strategy is. Now, I want to say something that might be provocative, but one of the biggest things that entrepreneurs and small businesses do that is a big mistake is they rush into marketing. They rush into it. They jump in. Everybody's, oh my gosh, it's TikTok. Oh my gosh, it's like YouTube. I got to be on YouTube. And so you're killing yourself trying to create content, and you're wondering, how am I going to keep up? There's no way. I see some of you guys nodding your heads. The truth of the matter is there's no amount of content that you could put out there that's going to shake anybody's world. Because you know what? There's 95,000 of you a day. So what do? Let's go to the next slide. This number, if you take away nothing from this presentation, remember the number 10,000. Because this is the reason why starting with marketing is a mistake. 10,000. In 2007, there was a study done that found that on any given day, the average person takes in 10,000 ad messages. 2007, that's 16 years ago. 10,000 messages a day. Let's do the math. How many is that, Brian, in an hour?
Sorry, I do law for a reason.
That's over 600. 600 messages in an hour. And I'm not just talking about like traffic signs. I'm talking about the stuff you're seeing on your phone. It's the booklets that you see. It's the messages that you receive. Everyone is selling something. Everyone is selling something. So 10,000 in 2007, let's double it just for fun. Double that number. So 20,000 messages a day. 1,200 messages an hour? It's not possible for us to be able to react to, believe in, get inspired by, get encouraged by, be motivated by all those messages. It's not possible. Why? I did my background in neuroscience. So I came to marketing honestly. I came through it through psychology and through trying to understand what makes people do what they do. Why do they buy what they buy? Why are we attracted to these things? The brain's default is it's trying to conserve energy, right? The brain-body connection is huge. So if you're going to make me work hard to try to figure out what you do, I'm not going to even bother. I'm just going to ignore it because it's not worth it. I've got 2 decisions to make every minute, every second of my day. Fight, flight. Are you my friend or are you my enemy? And if you can't help me figure that out, forget about it. I'm done. I'm just going to ignore. So 10,000 to 20,000 messages a day. Help me figure out how we're going to break through. So we're putting out all these messages because a lot of people believe that I just got to do more. I just got to do more marketing. But that's not how it's done. That's not the secret to success. Every single successful brand, we call them a brand for a reason, because they focused on their brand. The marketing is secondary. Let's go to the next slide. Let me explain marketing and brand and the difference and why you need both. They work together, but one's got to lead, okay? When people think of brand, and I get this all the time, they think of your logo. They think of, oh, I got my logo. I got my logo, I'm good. I don't need brand. The reason why we call it a brand, let me go back to the time of the rustler and the cowboys and the ranchers. Why did people brand anything? They branded it so that when people would see their cattle in the field, they would recognize that symbol and they would feel something. 2 things. They'd feel one of 2 things. Oh my gosh, that's I'm going to pick on Brian because you're in the front. That's Brian's cattle. I can't touch it because he will destroy my land. They'll feel bad and they'll walk away. Or they'll see the symbol and they'll say, oh my gosh, Sebastian's around. Sebastian's in town. I haven't seen him in so long. I got to go visit Sebastian. Two things. That's the only things that they'll see from that symbol. Are you good or are you bad? Do I like you or do I not like you? How do I feel about you? Brand is about making people feel something. What's marketing? Marketing, let's go back to the root of it. To market something is to take your product or service to a market. What happens at the market? You meet people. You meet people and they buy from you, they talk to you. The act of marketing is to take your product or service to market. Marketing is the vehicle. If you look at this picture that I put up here, you see that that's a backlit transit sign and it's empty. That's marketing. Marketing is the vehicle. Marketing is social media. It's television. It's print. It's ebooks. It's email marketing. It's events. It's promoting your videos. There are so many different vehicles for getting your product or service out there. Marketing delivers the message. Brand is the message. This is the conundrum of every small business owner. What is the message? You don't know your message because you don't know your brand. If you don't know your brand, you're going to be lost in that 10,000. You will be lost and you will be ignored. That is a fact because human beings cannot process that much information. And I'll tell you another thing. Because of what happens in our brains, we will try to conserve energy. So when you're talking to me and you're not giving me something that resonates with me, I just have to ignore it. I can't use the energy in my body. My energy is precious to me. I don't have the time to try and figure you out. Next slide, please. Jeff Bezos. You love him or you hate him. But he does say some good things sometimes. And this one says, your brand is what other people say when you're not in the room. That is a fact. It doesn't matter whether it's a personal brand. It doesn't matter whether it's a medium-sized brand. It doesn't matter what product or service. What people say about you when you're not in the room, that is your brand. So here's the question. We all know Nike, right? We know Nike. We love Nike. Some of us love Nike. There it is. Just do it. Where did that come from? Did we collectively say, just do it? That was our line. And we said, just do it, and that means Nike. No, no, no. Nike created that phrase specifically, and it does a specific thing. It inspires and it motivates. Brand is about controlling the narrative. Because here's the problem. When you're not in the room and people don't know you, they're going to make something up. They're going to make something up. Now, when they're introducing you to somebody, do you want them to say, oh my gosh, Amanda, she's so nice, but I have no idea what she does. I would rather have them say, Amanda, if you have a problem with your business and you don't know how to grow, call her. I'd rather have them say that. If you don't give people the thing to say, your brand, it doesn't matter what you use or whether you write a book or whether you do videos or whether you do TikTok or whether, I don't care what medium you use. Don't care. They're not going to get it. They're just not going to get it. And so what's important here is what leads. You have to start by understanding your brand because your brand is like the GPS of your car. I don't care about the make of your car. Get a truck, get a Volvo, get a whatever. But if you don't know where you're going, you ain't going to get anywhere. Doesn't matter how much gas you put in the tank. Next slide, please. Okay. I'm going to run through these really quickly, and I'm going to dive into one of them in a slide or two. So there are 7 P's to brand strategy. The first one is people. Why is people the number one thing? That's your who, and that's what I'm going to talk about for a few seconds. The reason is that business is about people. If you think it's not about people, you are gravely mistaken. Gravely, gravely mistaken. If there's no people, you have no business. No people, no business. That goes with your employees, and that goes with your customer. There ain't gonna be anybody to buy your stuff. There's not gonna be anybody to make your stuff. People is the bottom line. You are a people. If you're in business, you're in a people business because there are no business problems. There's only people problems. In fact, let me go one step further. Business actually is this entity that doesn't really exist. And Brian, I'm sure, will talk to us about that. It doesn't actually exist. It's this imaginary thing that we've created in our minds. It's about people. The second thing is your purpose. Grace talked about that, your why. In order to know your purpose, the biggest hack for that is the thing I'm going to talk about in a second. It's all about who do you care about and what problem are you trying to solve for them. That's if you really want to know your why, figure out who your people are. Product is number 3. Once you know what problem you're trying to solve, well, you can make it. There's an order to this, there's a cadence. The next one is personality, and let's call that your X factor. It's the thing that makes you unique. There are no two people in this room that are the same, and that goes the same for business. Because business is just a group of people who are coming together for a shared purpose. That's it. That's it. So groups of people are unique, people are unique. Price value. I could do like a whole talk on price value. They're not the same thing. They're like brand and marketing. They work together, but they're not the same thing. Once you understand what it is that you're trying to sell, you need to figure out at what level, what price you want to offer it so it creates the greatest value for your customer. Those are two different things. The 6th one is planet, and I'm not just talking about the environment. I'm talking about your social impact. A lot of businesses do this thing where they give charitably, and Lord knows we need charity, absolutely. But that's not the answer, and it's not sustainable. Number 7 is positioning. And this is where you live, the role that you play in the competitive landscape, because somehow your customer needs to know how to differentiate you in their mind and when they're talking to people between you and the guy who does the exact same thing as you. Because there's 100 million lawyers, there's 100 million branding agencies, 100 million real estate agents. What makes one different than the other? Gotta know. That is your brand. It's not just your logo. That comes after. If you're designing a logo without understanding that, it might be a nice logo, but it's not gonna make anybody feel anything. Next slide. Am I going too fast? I'm trying to like break it down, but anyway, let's go. Number 2, the secret to being unignorable, the second secret is start with who. If you don't know your people, you don't know what problems they have. And business is about solving a problem. That transaction in the marketplace where I go to sell my milk has to fill a need. Next slide, please. This number. This number shakes me every time I look at it. There are 3 reasons why businesses fail. 3 top reasons. 42% of businesses fail. This is one of the top 3. Because they fail to assess the market need. No need, no market, no business. 0. If people don't need, if they don't have a problem that you're trying to solve, your business will fail. It will. Because nobody has time to figure out, well, do I need what you're selling? I don't have time for that. No one has time for that. 42% of businesses will fail because they misread or they misassumed that they can sell their product is for everybody. And this is one of the things that comes at me time and time again with businesses, with CEOs, small or large. This is not just a small business problem. This is a big brand problem that we deal with every day. You talk to the CEO and he says, everybody's my customer. No. That is a true path to failure. Not everybody is your customer. It's not possible. And I know that because the only way that you could understand a person's need is to focus on 1 or 2 people, maybe. How do you get to know them? How do you know what their dreams and their wishes are? How do you know what they value, what they care about, what they're struggling with? It's not possible to look at a million people and say, I know all of you. You don't. Next slide. Google Glass. This is one of the best examples of this in action. Okay, let's talk about Google. Brilliant company. You can like them or you can hate them. There's lots of urban legend around them. But here's one thing they did with their innovation department. They came up, a group of engineers came together. If there's any engineers here, no offense. Group of engineers came together and they found this technology that they absolutely adored and loved called Google Glass. And they got so excited about their product. They got so excited about the services and the features, and they started to just freak out about the fact that this is just going to revolutionize, well, something. So they gave it to the marketers and said, tell everybody. That sketch is Saturday Night Live. That is the Saturday night, you got to see it. If you haven't seen it, you got to see it. Google Glass became one of the biggest flops of techdom. Why? Because they started with the passion. Everybody tells you, start with your passion. In business, it'll only get you so far. This is a really exciting technology. You got to have it. It does this and it does that, and it can be this, and this is the benefit. But the problem was nobody had that need. Nobody has that problem. What am I going to use it for? And it's ridiculous with all that tilting of your head. So it was a total flop. Starting with your who helps you quickly understand what the problems are that they're facing. If you're not solving a problem, you don't have a business. It can't just be about passion. Passion will only get you so far. It's got to be about meeting a need. It's got to be about understanding who your customer is and what's important to them. You can't have 1 billion people be your customer. You've got to get super specific, right? Many people are afraid. They think if I get really niched down, I'm going to lose people. I guarantee you, if your target market was 25, under 30 women with babies who were 6 months old, I guarantee you, you will become their favorite person in the world. You're their favorite brand because people want to be understood, 100%. Next slide. All right, this is my last secret, if you will. And this one's all about storytelling. And I want to read you this quote. I should know it off by heart, actually. Theodore Roosevelt. Nobody cares how much you know until they know how much you care. It's actually one of my favorite quotes. This is an epic brand line. And I'm sure Brian will talk about it as well. It's fundamental. It's fundamental to business. Nobody cares how much you know. They don't care about your products and features. They don't care about your origin. They don't care about your trials. They don't care about you. And I say that with all love and due respect to everybody. Nobody cares. Why? Because guess who my favorite person in the world is? Me. The one name that I want to hear, and I know it is mine. Like this is a hard pill to swallow, guys, but your name is the most important name to you. It really is. Think about this from a business perspective, okay? That's what you want to hear. You want to hear what's in it for me. Next slide. Okay, I'll give you a live example. I'm at a party. I'm at a networking party, and Pam comes up to me. And and we have this conversation. You know what? We're having a great, and I say to her, hey, tell me what you do. And so she says, well, I'm a chef. I have like 10 years experience. I went to the university in Paris and I learned about nutrition. And I worked at this restaurant and this restaurant. And by 30 seconds into this thing, I'm hearing blah, 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 blah. And she's lost me. I've now started to ignore her and everything she's saying, which is really great and interesting. And I'm starting to think about, when am I going to get the opportunity to tell her about me? Like, really? I just need a moment to talk about me. Your name is the most important thing to you. Your story is the most important thing to you. So if your business talks about themselves all the time, about what you do, what you've accomplished, what you've succeeded at, what your inspiration is, your values, your dreams, no one is listening. No one cares. Let me do the flip, okay? I'm going to introduce Pam again. What do you do, Pam? This time what Pam says is, you know, I have 2 kids. And there was a whole bunch of time in my life where I was like, you know what, I'm rushing home from work. I'm trying to figure out what I'm gonna get for them. I'm white knuckling it on the highway. And the best I can do, because I gotta get my kid to hockey, is I run through McDonald's. So what I decided to do is I'm gonna take all that nutrition love that I have, and I've decided to create a business where I actually bring prepared nutritious meals to parents. I guarantee you, she read my story. I struggle with time. I struggle with busyness. I struggle with the fact that I have this guilt that I'm feeling that I can't feed my kids healthy meals during the week because I'm exhausted. I guarantee you, I'm already connected. Now here's something I'll tell you about psychology in the brain. When we tell stories, especially stories that invite people into them to imagine, there's a part of our brain that actually lights up that bonds people. I'm not going to get into all the technical stuff, but it actually bonds us to one another, especially when I can see myself in your story. Here's how it works. People buy emotionally. They buy based on emotions, but they will rationalize their purchase based on logic. So I'm not telling you to get rid of your product features and your benefits or your point of origin or your history or your expertise. I'm just telling you, tell your story in a different order. Tell your story in a way that invites your customer into it. This is why you need to know who they are and what their problems are. Because if you don't, you ain't got a story to tell. And there's no way you can figure out how your product or service fits into the problems that they have. You could have the best product. Google Glass is pretty revolutionary. But it doesn't do anything for me. It actually makes my life more complicated, so why would I buy it? Invite your customers into the story. In fact, let me go a bit further. Make them the hero. Because we all want to be the hero in our story. We're all living, we're on a journey. That journey is doing something. We all have a purpose. If you can show me how working with you fills my purpose, we have something to talk about. And then tell me afterwards, because after I buy the house from you, I'm going to go through something called buyer's remorse. So in your funnel, in your email marketing funnel, make sure that a couple of days, a couple of weeks, don't wait too long. After that sale is made, make sure you follow up with your expertise, your features, your benefits, and all the rationale why that person made a great decision, because you're helping them. And they will then be able to tell their friends what you do and how you made them feel. It's the order that's important, not just the story. Next slide. Leo Burnett is one of the biggest advertising agencies in the world. And they said, Leo actually said, don't tell me how good you make it. Tell me how good it makes me when I use it. My story, my problems, my goals, my visions, my purpose. Tell me how working with you fills my purpose, not yours. Not yours. I don't want to hear about you. In fact, if you do, you risk me ignoring you. How do you be unignorable? Let's go to the next slide. 3 things. Lead with brand. Lead with brand, because if you don't lead with brand and you put out marketing, you risk being ignored. You risk putting out information that confuses people and makes them work really hard. And like I said, if you take away a couple of things only from this, don't make people work hard to figure out what you do. Because as soon as you do that, they are going to just move on. Nobody wants to work hard. It's a cognitive tax on my mind. I don't need it. Number 2, start with who. Because your product, no matter how good it is, your service, no matter how brilliant you are and the personality you have, if you don't understand the people that you're trying to help and the problems that they have that your product supposedly is going to solve, it's not going to make a hill of beans of difference. It really won't. And then the last one is tell your story in the right order. Figure out all of your brand stuff, and then make sure you tell your stories in all of your different marketing vehicles in the right way, consistently. Make your customer the hero, tell their story, and invite them in so that they can imagine how better their life is going to be how the way that working with you, working with Grace is actually going to unlock my purpose and I'm going to be able to achieve my goals. Oh my gosh, I'm there. But don't talk about you, talk about them. And I think I have one last quote. This is the essence of brand. People will forget what you said. They will forget what you did even. But they will never forget how you made them feel. A brand is a symbol that is like a container for how you want people to feel. Marketing is what gets them to do it. But if you want to actually have an impact and make that sale, you need to make people feel something. And so don't just stop with your logo. Make sure that you understand what it's all about that you're trying to sell. So with that, that's it for me. I'm going to invite Brian Prill up. The magnificent Brian Prill. Oh, are we? Oh, okay.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Well, with that, we're going to give your brain some time to relax and to just soak in what you heard. We're going to take about half hour. We're going to grab some lunch, and then we're going to come back, and then we're going to hear from Brian. We're going to hear from Sebastian. Emma showed up. Thank you, Emma, for coming in. And then we have others that we're going to be talking to. So let's take a half-hour break. We got some lunch, and we got some snacks in the kitchen.